For more on this, let's cross live now to a member of Finnish National Conservative Freedom Alliance Party, Armando Mema. Mr. Mema, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Mr. Mema, the EU has slapped Elon Musk's social platform X with a fine of 120 million euros, accusing it of violating Europe's Digital Services Act. In your opinion, is this fair game or an unjustified crackdown?
The trust on the European Union is at the lowest point ever in history, and every day scandals surround the EU Commission. Recently, we had a corruption scandal with high officials on the EU, and now this sort of secret deals coming out from Elon Musk statements that the EU has tried to bribe X platform to mainly censor all the dissident voices in Europe and try to interfere in the political landscape. It's remarkable how Europe is acting against its own people all the time. It claims to be a democratic society. It claims to be having European values, but each time is working behind the desk against the interests of the EU citizen. And this is a very remarkable scandal that the EU is trying to buy with bribing with money the social media platforms and try to control what we're supposed to have in Europe, the freedom of speech.
Now, EU officials took aim at Musk's platform for its alleged deceptive design of its blue check mark, a lack of transparency in advertising, and the failure to provide access to public data for researchers. So, in this case, is Musk obligated to obey?
In my opinion, Elon Musk is a true friend of Europe, and he shouldn't be treated like this. One of the reasons he bought the platform was specifically to protect freedom of speech, and now the European Commission is trying to undermine this. It's totally unacceptable behavior against the platform, which is an American company, one of the most trusted in the world, and also is a personal attack on Elon Musk, because he's truly trying to help Europe in restoring democracy and having freedom of speech. So Elon Musk shouldn't pay even 1 cent to this bill, this fine that came from the EU Commission. My question is, who's gonna give fine to the EU Commissions for telling lies all the time?
Exactly, that's a very valid question indeed. Now, Washington was quick to respond. Marco Rubio said that this is an attempt to censor America. And now with the Secretary of State getting involved, where do you think this will escalate to?
It's difficult to predict how this will escalate, because it's something really unprecedented. That the EU itself is in such a contrast with the US administration. We have been going well along for many years, and now it seems that the EU wants stubbornly be in contrast at all levels with the US administration. It might lead to a diplomatic crisis in the long term with the US administration. It's difficult to predict how things will turn out, but definitely for the diplomatic relations, they are going to deteriorate if Europe will continue to have such a strong stance against US companies and entrepreneurs like Elon Musk.
Now, it's probably worth mentioning, just a year ago, Elon Musk revealed the EU was pressuring him to censor some accounts to avoid fines, while at the same time, France has gone after Telegram CEO Pavel Durov to impose restrictions on his social network. What do you think is behind this clampdown of speech by Brussels?
Yes, the EU Commission and Brussels, they are acting politically. They're having failures in all their policies, from the economy, from the foreign politics, the war in Ukraine, or even the war in Gaza, and so on. So the EU Commission is trying to silence all the criticism that is coming from the EU citizen, and they're trying to silence every voice. Anyone who disagrees with the EU Commission, unfortunately, is being labeled as an enemy, and this is a total failure from the EU policies, and they're trying to stop the criticism, but this will continue. People have their freedom of speech, they will fight for it, and potentially this may also lead to a cultural revolution in Europe. If the EU Commission is trying to silence so much the freedom of speech and people, there might be a cultural revolution in Europe at some point.
Now, Mr. Mema, in the US, the Federal Communications Commission chairman said the fine on X was a, quote, a regulatory suffocation of Americans. Of course, in the details is the massive money grab. Do you think that this will help, shatter some budgets in the bloc?
No, it's a very, very small amount of money comparing to all the money that Europe is trying to provide to Ukraine and to rearm itself. It's certainly, let's say it's an example. They wanted to punish Elon Musk for not accepting their secret deal. And this is the main reason they did the fine, not for having any benefits from the economical point of view, but it's merely a sanction against X platform and Elon Musk for refusing to accept such an acceptable offer.
Well, thank you so much for this insightful discussion and for bringing us all the details. A member of Finnish National Conservative Freedom Alliance Party, Armando Mema.